insurance prices go up on April 1st. Some funds will go up a little, while other funds will go up a lot. So compare the guy select today, because no one wants to be.
If the only reason you get up is to lie down somewhere else.
And again, guys, this is not, we're not. All right, the world has been waiting in anticipation for the arrival of the Antichrist for thousands of years. Ever since the Bible was compiled, ever since the apostles spoke of this strange individual, especially the book of John, 1 John and 2 John. I always like to say I credit John for coining the phrase Antichrist, where we get the Greek of that is Antichristos, and it is a physical man. It is an individual who is referenced through the entire New Testament, and there is even references to him and his reign and his emergence of power in the Old Testament as well, like the book of Daniel is one of the greatest examples of that. So today we've got a very special guest. He's not a stranger to the podcast. In fact, he comes on as a regular guest anymore here on End Time Headlines. But wanted to bring him in today because there's this general consensus in the body of Christ for years now that the Antichrist is going to emerge out of the revised Roman Empire. Some even say the European Union.
Hi, Di. I had trouble with the net as well today.
That again comes out of the revised Roman Empire, out of this European sector. However, there is another camp out there, and it's a very interesting perspective as well. And there is a theory that the Antichrist will actually be a radicalized Muslim that will rise in the last days, and he will use this. It's not even a new ideology. It's an ideology that's been around for a long time. And it's, in fact, consequently, the Persians, a lot of not the Persian people, but the Ayatollahs and those in charge, and even some former presidents, even not just the current, but the former president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, I believe I pronounced that right. He was one of those who believed in helping in usher their Messiah, which is the Al-Mahdi. Now I know this is a lot that we just gave you with an introduction to this, but we're going to unravel all this today. And could it be possible? Is it out of the realm of impossibility that the Antichrist of the Bible could in fact be a Muslim that will rise in the last days? We're going to talk about all that on today's podcast.
I always thought it would be the Mahdi as the Antichrist. And Charles is Muslim, remember, Di?
Okay, let's go.
The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, guys, we want to welcome you to this Tuesday night, February 24th. We welcome you to the program. Again, this is End Time Headlines, news and headlines from a prophetic perspective, and I'm your host, Ricky Scaparo, the founder and the voice of End Time Headlines. And as we said at the introduction to this, guys, I think this is one you're going to really want to stick around and listen. I always tell people to try to keep an open mind, and we'll get into more details about that in just a moment. There's some things that we can be absolute on, and there's other things I like to say that I try to be more flexible on and be more open-minded, because you know what? Many of us in the prophetic circles of eschatology have made statements, and then later on, as we get closer and as this thing unfolds and gets more evident, we realize that, hey, we were wrong on that. And it's okay. That's how we see prophecy anyway. It's we see through a glass darkly. We see in part, we prophesy in part, and we try our best to give you perspectives of what's happening from the culture of our day and how it fits into Bible prophecy, these news and headlines from a prophetic perspective. And that's what you're doing. And that's what we're doing today. So listen, we'd love for you guys to hit that like button before we get started on this thing. That's going to help push this out, get it out there on the algorithm so others can find us. And if you enjoy our content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification. And you guys listening by Apple, by Spotify, again, help us out. Hit that like button and give us a good review as well. So Matthew, thank you. Once again, you're family at this point. Everybody knows you like family now, so we don't even need to really give you any introduction, but maybe this is your first time coming onto the program. We want to welcome Matthew Foley out of ISO International School of the Word. He's there. He is a teacher and instructor there, based out of Cleveland, Tennessee. So, Matthew, welcome to the program.
And by the way, for those that want to know a little bit more about who I am, you can connect with me on a personal level. I've got, and some of you are going to laugh, but I did get the handle for my Instagram, which is Holy Moly Matthew Foley. That was from my early 20s.
Nice.
My early 20s, I made that one. But the more recent one, my Twitter as well, or the X, excuse me. Somebody in the comments last time was like, Twitter's the old name. All right, X. My X handle is at ISO Insights, because that's the podcast that you'll find me hosting. Matthew Foley, ISO Insights at ISO Connect. That's ISO.org's YouTube channel. So check us out. We've got right now a special thing going on where you can enter your email and get access to over 70 hours of free Bible teaching. This is like in-depth teaching. A lot of it's seminary level without the price tag, but it's in a way that people can understand it. It's not, it's not over the top. So excuse me, I had to clear a little bug on the camera lens there. But guys, please do check it out. And we would love to have you. If you want to connect with me on a deeper level, reach out on Instagram, personal message me. I love talking about prophecy. The Word of God is my passion. Thank you, Brother Ricky, again for having me. I love coming on End Time Headlines.
Right, and I know everybody's excited to have you on today. And so let me get into this. We got a lot to talk about today. So as of right now, I did a little research before we got on here. As of right now, there's approximately 2 billion Muslims in the world. Again, that's an estimate. This accounts for roughly 24 to 25% of the total global population. Which, here's what's interesting, it makes Islam the second largest religion in the world behind Christianity. And currently, according to the stats that I pulled up and saw, it is now currently the fastest growing major religion due mainly because of high demographic growth rates in Muslim majority countries.
Yeah.
Now, the highest concentrations of Muslims today are actually found in the Asia Pacific region. We're talking about Indonesia, Pakistan, and India because they have the largest Muslim populations globally. But the disturbing part, and most of us know this, but I don't know if, and I think our audience is more intelligent and they know this because we're this is kind of like an echo chamber per se because we're talking end times eschatology, and I know our audience. I love everybody in the chat.
Hey, baby, good to see you, mate.
Guys are educated on this. You guys have done your homework, and you know that Islam is now growing rapidly in America. I mean, we literally just had Mamdani that was sworn in as the new mayor of New York. I don't know if you saw this, Matthew. I'm gonna pull this up so we can look at this together. And this is kind of a little introduction, guys, of where we're going here. Look, this is a headline from World Net Daily. Well, that didn't take long. Islamic call to prayer loudly broadcast on New York City streets. This is no longer Dearborn, Michigan we're talking about here. That's become normal. I remember when that first started in Dearborn, Matthew, and people was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But now, look at this. This is New York City. Just weeks ago, New York residents, including large populations of immigrants, elected a Muslim who, by the way, this is Mamdani, the city's new mayor, who was sworn in on a stack of Qurans We did a whole report on that. He immediately praised his own religion as the one, look at this, the one true faith. And now there is being broadcast in the city streets in multiple locations the Islamic call to prayer up to 5 times a day. I think we've got a little video here. Let's see if we can watch this.
Come here. Here is Atlantic. We are hearing Islam. Come here.
Wow. Stop. Could you imagine this? And people are just walking by and it's being accepted. And again, guys, this is not we're not talking about this is not the Middle East that we're showing here. This is in New York City. Then this one kind of hit home for me. I'll pull this up real quick. This is a story. I don't know.
It is quite shocking what they're doing their prayers in the middle of the streets and shutting the streets down.
You saw this, Matthew, but this is coming out of Kennesaw, Georgia. This is literally about an hour and a half from where I live. A new 61,000 square foot Muslim community hub and shopping center underway in Kennesaw, Georgia. Now, again, we have a video here. And we're going to listen to this right here. This is pretty interesting.
Hey y'all, my name is Tori Branham. I'm running for Congress in Georgia's District 12, and I like to keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on across the state as well as obviously on the federal level. Well, I just came across this very interesting project that's currently underway in Kennesaw, Georgia. It's a 61,000 square foot Muslim dining and shopping facility. The real estate developer is MAHDI, is Palestinian, and the construction company is Estes and Sons, which is owned by Brian Estes. They are creating this facility and renting to vendors who are community friendly. They are highlighting the many coffee shops, which provide a safe space for Muslims to go and hang out that's alcohol free.
A safe space?
I was just about to say that a safe place. We're the ones in danger, not you guys.
Yeah. I mean, is there really that much of a threat to them that they have to have a safe space?
And noise free. Well, in the video, he jokingly calls it the Gaza Strip. And they got a lot of pushback from the local community as well as surrounding neighborhoods. And I think y'all need to see what is being built right here in Georgia.
What's up, people? All right, I'm trying to teach more on Instagram. And the reason for it is because I wanted to show y'all how he's developing this property. So right now we are on the Gaza Strip in Kennesaw, Georgia. We're going to name this street the Gaza Strip. This is my brother Omar, my brother Sam, brother Ibrahim, karate attorney. This area, all of this land right here is getting developed. So how much are we building? 60,000? 61,000. The 61,000 square feet that's going up here, inshallah. And I want y'all to put pressure on him to start documenting this process. So y'all can, what's up, people? All right, I'm trying.
All right. That's probably good, but I just wanted to, I don't know if you saw that video, Matthew, but that's shocking. And they tried this in Texas, and from what I understand, Governor Abbott shot that down and said, "No, you ain't gonna put that stuff up here." So this is the goal, and I know you're probably gonna, and I'm gonna let you loose on this. This is the goal of Islam is to infiltrate areas of government, community, and throughout the United States.
And to think in hundreds of years, not in decades or every 5 years. But over here, we've got elections every 4 years for a new president. We think in short term, but in that part of the world, they think in long term. So Xi Jinping of China, he's not thinking about, oh, I got to win the next election. The Communist Party's secure. They're not going anywhere.
Right.
So without a major upheaval of the political system, he's thinking, where's China going to be in the next 100 to 200 years, and how can we overcome our...
Hey, Andy, good to see you, mate.
That's his goal. So similarly, because they're very communal in the East versus in the West, we're very individualistic. We think about what's my life going to look like? What are my finances going to look like? In the East, it's what are my grandchildren's lives going to look like? Which in a biblical way, funny enough, I mean, the Israelites thought in that way. They thought about their children and their children's children and leaving an inheritance. But in Islam, we we have forgotten the history that the Islamic worldview has not forgotten. They think in terms of the Crusades still, Brother Ricky. They think in terms of the wars between Western Christian nations and Eastern Islamic nations. In fact, we're going to see in a little bit in Islamic prophecy, Islamic prophecy refers to the future wars between the Western Christian world and the Eastern Islamic world. So when they took over, when the Ottoman Empire ruled for the longest time over Jerusalem, Jerusalem doesn't matter that much in Islamic theology. It was the fact that they had dominance over Judaism and Christianity, which were their competitor religions. So Islam seeks to gain dominance because their theology is about overtaking every other people group in the world until everyone believes in Allah and the God of Islam. And the way they figured out a few generations back, they weren't happy. Those nations were not happy when Israel was established as a nation, because that was a major blow to their understanding that God had given them Jerusalem and Israel as a perpetual inheritance to Islam. They were like, well, what are we doing wrong here? So that shook up their, I won't say faith, but their pride. But what's happening now is they've realized in recent generations, the West, its technological and military might is too powerful to fight and win a war, unless you're a terrorist group. Then they try their hand at it then. But what they have found out in many of these nations is because of the Western democratic liberal ideals of government leaders, we can come in, and if anyone claims that, oh no, they're trying to implement Sharia law, we'll call them racist. And then their leaders will protect us. Then we'll have children because they're not having any children in the West. And within a few generations, we'll overpopulate the area, and then we'll rule democratically through their own government system. So that's what's happening now.
Folks, that's 100% spot on. So you have to recognize that. Now, what he just did is laid a foundation here, because there is a radical ideology. Now, I will not say that it is for all Muslims, but it is there's a significant portion.
Hey, DP, good to see you, mate. Yeah, things are going great.
Ideology, and what we're talking about here, for those that are not familiar with Islamic eschatology.
How about you? How you going, mate?
You've heard me talk about this before. The three major monotheistic religions is Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, and consequently, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem is sacred to all three of those religions. They all have connections to that. This is why interesting. Jerusalem becomes what? The hot button. It becomes the major hot spot of Bible prophecy. That's where it's all going to center around. So, just like you in Christianity, they have an eschatology. Judaism has an eschatology. Well, Islam has an eschatology. All three of these religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all have an anticipation for their Messiah to return. Now, in Judaism, there's because if you remember in Corinthians, Paul said that to this day there's a veil over the eyes of those, unless the gospel of Jesus Christ would penetrate that. And even to this day, there's a law, or there's a veil over their eyes, even when reading the law of Moses, and it has to be lifted through Christ. So this is when they become messianic, as they accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. But among Judaism, now Matthew, you may be able to elaborate a little bit more on this, but there's a group that the messianic ones, they understand the Yeshua, the son of David, but then under those who are not converted, those who are what we call the Orthodox Jews that are not messianic, they have a different perspective of who the Messiah is, because because they didn't grasp the suffering servant of Jesus Christ. They didn't accept him the first time he appeared. And so they're looking for this, they're looking for
Andrew Morris, welcome to the channel.
But it's a different angle what we're looking for is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. From what I understand, what I've studied on this, this is why they are prone to deception. And interject anytime, Matthew, here, if you want to add anything to this. Go ahead.
Well, in Judaism, if they call it Second Temple Judaism. Guys, if you ever want to deep dive into Judaism during Jesus' time, and if you've been in a Hebraic roots movement before and you suddenly also realize there's some stuff in the Talmud that seems to be against Jesus, then you realize there are things that were added after Jesus came to put down the Jewish believers in Jesus as the Messiah. But before that, there were so many things in Jewish tradition. And that's why when you look up Second Temple Judaism, that is Jewish theology before the Christian movement. So if you deep dive into that, you're going to find so much stuff that is pointing to Jesus as the Messiah. It's going to blow your mind. But during that time period, the vast majority of the political, there was two messianic figures or attributes in the theology at the time. Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef. So it's like Messiah, the son of David, and Messiah, the son of Joseph. So some people said, it's one figure, but most people said if there's two different messianic figures that Isaiah and the prophets are talking about, maybe it's two different men. But Joseph was the one who is the suffering servant of Isaiah 53. Yes. Messiah, son of Joseph. He takes on the sins of Israel. He dies for the people and lays down his life. And David was what they believed to be the ultimate one who rules over the earth. So they've always believed in their theology in Judaism that Messiah, son of David, would be the ultimate messianic figure that takes over and rules over the earth. But the doctrine of Messiah, son of Joseph, is so shocking because what happened to Joseph? Joseph was despised by his brothers because he was beloved by the Father more than anyone else. He was sold into slavery to Gentiles, and then he was put in prison. And then he was raised up to be the most powerful man other than Pharaoh in the most powerful kingdom in the world at the time. So it's a parallel. And then, of course, his brothers come and he saves their life and they don't even recognize him. And then he reveals and says, oh, my gosh, this is our brother who we sold into slavery. Well, the parallel there is stunning because that's what happened with the Jewish people. John chapter 1, he came into his own and his own received him not. So what's going to happen? Jesus said in Matthew, after he confronted the Pharisees and all the leaders and the Jewish people in Jerusalem, he said, you will not see me again. You say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. So one day the Jewish people in majority are going to welcome Jesus back as the Messiah. But you hit the nail on the head, Brother Ricky, because the biggest thing that makes the Jewish people today potential victims of deception, and Jesus said even the elect, which might be referring to Jewish people, could be deceived because of what's going to happen. The biggest thing is a greater love for the present world than for righteousness and spiritual.
Hi, King Diamond. Welcome to the channel.
The problem in Jesus' day. They wanted delivered from the Romans, but not from their own sins. And before the Lord comes back, the pressure is going to get so hot on Israel.
Amen, Kim.
So much pressure on the Jewish people. I mean, we're already seeing anti-Semitism begin to blow through the roof on the right and the left in the U.S. You can imagine around the world. So as that pressure increases before the Lord comes back, the Jewish people are going to become more and more open to any kind of figure that will relieve that pressure and help them do what they need to do with the temple, with their government, and be at peace in their own land.
Wow, what you just said, guys, you need to put a tent peg up right there in your mental state. Put a bookmark right there, what he just said. Because that, I was going to say, among the rabbis there is a messianic anticipation. And some of these guys, I don't know, and I know you've probably seen this, some of these rabbis have claimed over the years that they have personally spoken with Messiah. We've seen Messiah. We've spoken with him. And he's set to reveal himself. And yes, and in my,
yeah, I thought so. Wi-Fi went down. Hang on, guys. Okay, back to the channel. What? Oh my God. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Hang on. I am fucking screaming. Stop fucking nagging me. Stop nagging me. Fucking stop nagging me. Oh, piss off. Oh, crap. Okay, we're back, are we? Hang on, guys. I'm trying to work out where it is. Hang on. Oh, man. Oh, I got it back here.
Of Israel. He dies for the people and lays down his life. And David was what they believed to be the ultimate one who rules over the earth. So they've always believed in their theology in Judaism that Messiah, son of David, would be the ultimate messianic figure that takes over and rules over the earth. But the doctrine of Messiah, son of Joseph, is so shocking because what happened to Joseph? Joseph was despised by his brothers because he was beloved by the Father more than anyone else. He was sold into slavery to Gentiles, and then he was put in prison, and then he was raised up to be the most powerful man other than Pharaoh in the most powerful kingdom in the world at the time. So it's a parallel. And then, of course, his brothers come, and he saves their life, and they don't even recognize him. And then he reveals, oh my gosh, this is our brother who we sold into slavery. Well, the parallel there is stunning because that's what happened with the Jewish people. John chapter 1, he came into his own, and his own received him not. So what's going to happen, Jesus said in Matthew, after he confronted the Pharisees and all the leaders and the Jewish people in Jerusalem, he said, you will not see me again until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. So we know one day the Jewish people in majority are going to welcome Jesus back as the Messiah. But you hit the nail on the head, Brother Ricky, because the biggest thing that makes the Jewish people today potential victims of deception. And Jesus said even the elect, which might be referring to the Jewish people, could be deceived because of what's going to happen. The biggest thing is a greater love for the present world than for righteousness and spiritual holiness before God. That's what was the problem in Jesus' day. They want to be delivered from the Romans, but not from their own sins. And before the Lord comes back, the pressure is going to get so hot on Israel. There's going to be so much pressure on the Jewish people. I mean, we're already seeing anti-Semitism begin to blow through the roof on the right and the left in the U.S. You can imagine around the world. So as that pressure increases before the Lord comes back, the Jewish people are going to become more and more open to any kind of figure that will relieve that pressure and help them do what they need to do with the temple, with their government, and be at peace in their own land.
Wow, what you just said, guys, you need to put a tent peg up right there in your mental state. Put a bookmark right there, what he just said. Because that, I was going to say,
She's left it all messy.
There is a messianic anticipation, and some of these guys, I don't know, and I know you've probably seen this. Some of these rabbis have claimed
I can't hear you.
they have personally spoken with Messiah. We've seen Messiah. We've spoken with him.
So you can talk loud.
Reveal himself. And in my opinion, Matthew, obviously we know that that's not the Messiah of the Bible.
I'm
So,
screaming.
in my opinion, this is setting the stage for the arrival of the Antichrist, who's a type and shadow of the
Okay, when I do
Messiah,
this
the
today, you're
false
doing it
Messiah,
immediately
the
after
false
yours.
Christ.
No, when I stop my card, you do yours as well. I'm not doing it for you. They won't let me speak on your behalf. I'm not your carer.
I've been sounding the alarm on this for years.
And who do you think I'm getting it off? So what are you on about then?
Having said that, so
And if I do, I want you to do it straight away after me.
We're just making the real king of kings. And
You have to ring on your own behalf.
Cover Judaism, but in Islam, they have an end time eschatology.
You're not going to let me act on your behalf.
Is that even among Islam,
Are you the one getting cared for?
some of the prophecies that us Christians believe,
See?
that God
So why are you
made
saying
us.
that?
38, 39. They actually believe this. They also are anticipating.
I'm not jumping through hoops for you, Mum.
Called the Al-Mahdi.
Well, give me a chance to do it. She's been gone 10 minutes.
I know you're going to expound on this. What's interesting to me, I will say this. I never heard this. The first time I ever heard this was probably, I'm going to say 20 years ago. I heard this, and I think it was from Perry Stone at one of his conferences. And when he preached on this, I was stunned at the parallel.
Hi, Alpha. Welcome to the channel.
That was 20 years ago. Most people have probably heard these parallels from others who come up, and they kind of they repeated the same thing, or they have now come and they've embraced. Wow, there's something to this. So for those who may be watching and listening, I'm going to kick it over to Matthew, and he's going to expound a little bit more on this and why this is interesting.
Oh, come on.
Need a fast cash loan without all the hassle?
Oh,
If you're an Australian resident over 18.
Yeah. So just for everybody to know, I'm going to lead in with a disclaimer here as well as an overview. The thing about Islamic eschatology that we're going to find is there are so many mirror parallels is what they often call them. I know Perry Stone's written about this. Joel Richardson's written a lot about it recently. And it's this idea that the Islamic eschatology seems to be taking from prophecy. Now, no Muslim will ever say this, and if you say it to them, they may get real mad. So I'll give you that disclaimer real quick. But it seems to be basing itself off of prophecies of the Old and New Testament in the Bible, but then flipping who the good guys and bad guys are.
Right.
So with
That's
that,
basically
I also
right.
want to say, when we get into this, there are a few things, and I'll try to touch on these with Brother Ricky. There are a few things that are mysteriously unclear. Like there are some things that seem to be taken. They have a bad guy in Islamic theology, for instance, called the Dajjal. I guess I'll go ahead and say it. Dajjal is like their version of the Antichrist. Now, Dajjal has a parallel to a certain biblical figure that's on the good guy side for Christians. But one of the things that they say about Dajjal is that he will first come as a young man with one blind eye, and then come as a prophet, saying he's a prophet, then eventually claim to be God. Now, in the New Testament, Paul says in Thessalonians, the Antichrist will eventually sit himself in the temple of God and proclaim himself to God. And that seems like something we would think, well, Muslims would never go for that. They would never go for their leader claiming to be God because of the whole not Jesus is God. However, and this is something that I had a hard time around, but I've had in looking at these details, if the Lord allows, I'll just say it this way, if the Lord allows Islam to be the fulfillment that the enemy uses for the Antichrist pattern, people are going to be in such a different frame of mind at that point. Islam will be in such a different frame of mind. If the Islamic MAHDI becomes this Antichrist figure, he's going to have so much zealous loyalty from all of his followers